Hi, I'm Diane Kometa, and today on Dishin with Di, I'm making my vegetable lasagna. This is one of my favorite comfort foods, filled with fresh vegetables, melted cheese, and homemade sauce. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. So let me show you what you need, and we'll get started on Dishin with Di. You need some fresh sliced mushrooms, some chopped bell peppers, I have yellow and red here, some sweet onion that's been chopped, and some finely minced garlic. You also need some fresh thyme. Now I've taken this and I just pulled the thyme off the stem and I ran my knife back and forth across it, and it's very finely minced. And then I have some shredded fresh carrot. So I used a box grater, and then I didn't peel the carrots first, but I just ran them up and down the box grater on the large holes, and that's what we have here, nice and shredded. And then some zucchini. I left the skin on, washed it first, and then I just chopped it up. I also washed my carrot first. Now there's other ingredients to this recipe, but we're just going to start one part at a time. Now, one quick note: if you can go to your grocery store and get anything that's already shredded or chopped, do that and save yourself a little time, because it can be a little time consuming, but other than that, it's a really simple recipe. Now, you will need a 9x13 baking dish, and you're going to spray that or butter it with some butter or nonstick spray. And then I have a baking sheet here that I lined with a little bit of foil so that the baking dish will sit on that, and in the event something bubbles over, it's not going to mess up anything in my oven. So first thing I'm going to do is get over to the stove. I have a very large skillet over there, so get the largest one you have, put that on the stove on medium-high heat, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, add some olive oil to your preheated pan, and then you're going to put in your peppers, onions, and that's what you want to hear, and your mushrooms, and just give that a toss around. I'm just going to let this cook for a couple minutes before we add in any salt and pepper. Okay, as you can see, it's been a couple minutes and they're starting to develop some color. And now what I'm going to do is season this with some salt. I use sea salt, and some freshly ground black pepper. Just give that a toss around, and I'm going to let this cook for about another 2 minutes. My vegetables have been cooking for about 4 to 5 minutes total, and now what I'm going to do is add in the shredded carrot and the zucchini. And this is going to be so flavorful. Got that sweetness from the bell peppers and the carrots, and great flavor from the mushroom and the zucchini and the onions, and everything is getting nice and browned in there. So I'm just going to give this a little toss, and again I'm going to throw a little more salt in here. Make sure you season everything, and a little bit more pepper. And I'm going to let this cook for about another 3 to 4 minutes. I'm just going to stir it once in a while. And if it looks like it's starting to get a little too brown, just reduce the heat a little bit. Now what you also want to do is turn your oven on to 350 degrees. And one other thing, I already cooked some lasagna noodles. So I cooked those according to the package directions for about 10 minutes, like so they're al dente. And then I drained them and I laid them out on some parchment paper so that they can just cool off a little bit, so I'll be able to handle them for the next step when we start to assemble everything. And now I'm going to add in my minced garlic and the fresh thyme. I'm just going to toss that around. And as soon as that garlic and the thyme hit that pan, it smells amazing. So this is only going to cook for about another minute. And the zucchini took a little longer to cook. I think I had them in bigger chunks than usual. So you just want those to be tender, and that's when you want to add in your garlic and your thyme. So now what we're going to do with this is take this and transfer this to a bowl, and I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to get on with the next step. what you need for this step is some shredded mozzarella cheese. Now I pop my mozzarella, I buy, you know, the cube, and I pop it in the freezer, and then I grate it on a box grater on those large holes, just like I did with the carrot. So you want to have some of that, and then you have some whole milk or low-fat ricotta cheese and some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Try not to buy that stuff that sits on the shelf that says Parmesan cheese, because I don't really think it is Parmesan cheese. Probably, but who knows. And then I have some spinach here. Now this was frozen spinach, and what I did was I thawed it out at room temperature, and then I took it and I drained it. I put it into a colander and I pressed the water out of it and I squeezed it until it was really nice and dry, and then you just kind of break it apart. So buy the chopped spinach. If you buy regular spinach, then you're gonna have to chop it up, so save a step. And then I have some eggs here, and I'm just going to lightly whisk these, and I have a little bit of fresh nutmeg. So this is basically the next part of the filling. Now the other thing I have here is some sauce. This is homemade sauce. You can go and save yourself a step if you want to and use the grocery store brand, whatever brand you like, or if you have your homemade that you have frozen, you can just use that. So whatever you prefer. And then I also have some more cheese for the topping, some more mozzarella and some more of the Parmesan cheese. And of course we have salt and pepper. So what we're going to do here is into this bowl where I have the ricotta cheese, I'm going to take the lightly whisked egg and I'm going to add this in, and this is just going to kind of make everything stay together. And all of these ingredients basically that I have in front of me except for the sauce. So the Parmesan cheese, and that adds that great flavor of the Parmesan, and try to get yourself a nice Parmesan cheese. I grate it myself, so it's cheaper when you buy it in the big block. And then the mozzarella cheese. Now the difference between the fresh and the kind you get in the bags is that the already shredded type has some cornstarch in it, so it doesn't always melt as good as fresh mozzarella or whatever, you know, kind of cheese you buy. And then get your spinach and throw that in. So you need a pretty good sized bowl, and then a little bit of salt, not too much because we do have that Parmesan cheese in there, but you do want to season this. And some freshly ground black pepper. And I like a few grates of fresh nutmeg. It really adds some nice flavor to it. It's kind of like that mystery ingredient where people are like, what is that? So a little bit of that, or you could use ground if you want. Just use a little, but really the fresh, it tastes a little bit different. It tastes really good. So now I'm just going to mix this through, and then we're going to the next step. Okay, there's my mixture. It's all very thoroughly combined, and I have kind of an assembly line set up here. So it's important to be organized when you do stuff like this so you don't get a little frazzled. So what we're gonna do first is into our greased baking dish, we're gonna put about 1/4 of our sauce, and we're gonna line the bottom of that. So just take it and pour it in, and then just kind of spread that out. And then you have your noodles. So I mentioned earlier that I cooked the noodles and I have them all ready to go. They're cool, I can handle them with no problem. And you're gonna put these into the baking dish, and you're gonna put 4 in. So you're gonna overlap them slightly. And this way, like some people might put 3 down, but then when you go to cut it and lift it up, it can fall apart. So you want that extra support under there. You got a lot of stuff going in here. So now we have the ricotta mixture. And what you want to do with this is kind of divide it into thirds. So what I usually do is I'll spread it out like this, and I'll just kind of take my spoon and just kind of go like that so I can kind of see what's going on. And I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to put it onto the noodles, and then I'm just going to spread that out. So just kind of push it around until it's nice and even. Okay, so that's spread out in a nice thin layer. And now I'm going to add about 1/3 of my vegetables. So kind of do the same thing with the vegetables. Just visually, you know, imagine taking 1/3 of it, and you're just going to kind of sprinkle this around on top of that cheese. When you look at it and you get everything on there and it's kind of scattered around, don't go digging in for more, because you want that 1/3, because we have 2 more layers to do. So that is going to build up, and you don't want to have too much on one layer and then like just a little tiny bit on another layer. You want everything to be kind of nice and even. So now we're going to take another 1/4 of this sauce and add this on top. Just kind of spread that out. This is going to be fabulous. And then we're going to repeat the whole thing, starting again with our 4 noodles. So now we're coming around the bend, as I say. And in the meantime, I took a piece of foil and I sprayed the underside with some nonstick spray. If you don't have nonstick spray, you could use butter. And this is going to go on top of everything. And you're spraying that so that when you put it over the top of the casserole dish, that it doesn't stick on top of the cheese. But it's going to help keep that heat in there so that everything gets nice and heated through and bubbly and delicious. Okay, so my cheese looks pretty even, and now the veggies and any juice that's at the bottom, put that on, don't discard it. You see how this is like so super full? That's why you need that baking sheet underneath, because it does bubble over a little bit and it can splash around, and you don't want all that mess going right directly on your oven, and I don't even want it going directly on my baking sheet. So a little piece of foil can save you a lot of trouble. And then the last of the sauce, and now take that cheese and sprinkle that over the top. That looks beautiful, right? Let's get it all over. And then the same with that Parmesan cheese, kind of evenly distribute that. All right, looking good. Foil over the top. Try not to press the foil down. Kind of leave it like a little bit domed over the top if you can. And then just crimp that on there. And we're gonna put this into our preheated oven and let this cook for about 45 minutes. And then you're going to remove the foil, and for about 15 to 20 more minutes, you're going to let it cook until it gets nice and bubbly and a little bit brown on top. And then I'll show you what that looks like when it's all done. Be careful, it's heavy. My lasagna is done, and it's just sitting here, and it's been cooling for a little bit. The whole house smells absolutely incredible. So we're all dying for it here. Where should I cut? Got a little crispy around the edges. And it cooked for about 55 minutes, and then I took off the aluminum foil and I let it cook for about another 20 minutes until it got all bubbly like this. This is a humongous piece, guys. Okay, let's see if I can get this out. Always the first piece is hard to get out. Let's see. Get under there. Trying. Oh boy, this is a thick one. Yikes. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh boy. This is some good live action, isn't it? Let me see. Oh my gosh, look at the spinach and the zucchini and all the sauce and cheese oozing. Let me get a cut into this. It's semi-good for you. It has vegetables in it. I like the vegetables a little chunky like this. It's not like mushy. I can taste the zucchini and the peppers and the cheese, of course. And you get that little hint of nutmeg on the back end there. Just kind of like I said before, it's like a little something something in there that you're like, what is that? You have to try this. The recipe is on my website, dishinwithdi.com, and don't forget to check out my other stuff over there too. I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious.